Wait, what?
Should we take it off before we walk up there?
Oh, no, only for the picture. Only for the
Yeah.
picture.
Got it.
So take it off for the picture and then put it back on.
Yes.
You can leave your line.
That's on your positioning it. Can you see without your
Right?
Oh yeah. It just like swear. That's obviously.
No, it's fine. Lieutenant Smart, can you do a sound check? Say hi.
Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon. Sound check, good one.
1 second. There's a delay.
Good afternoon. Hello.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Thank you. I'm ready to start up. Yep.
Can you flip the camera?
Please rise for the arrival of the official party and remain standing for the playing of the national anthem. Please be seated. Good afternoon. I am First Lieutenant Brandon Scamardo, and I've had the pleasure of serving as the mentor for Class 21007. And I am your MC for today's ceremony. I'd like to take this time to welcome our distinguished visitors, squadron leadership, and family members of our graduating class. We are here to celebrate the hard work and sacrifice of these graduating students and their families. Cyber warfare operators are needed more than ever before. In 2018, the commander, United States Cyber Command, General Paul Nakasone, stated of the cyber landscape, a mature and highly capable cyber force is built in the fight, aggressively defending our network, conducting daily operations against adversaries, and strengthening the combat power and lethality of U.S. forces around the world. We are at a defining time for our nation and our military. Near-peer competitors are posturing themselves, and threats to the United States' global advantage are growing. Nowhere in this challenge is more manifest than in cyberspace. Today, these freshly minted cyber operators are charged with defending our nation against these ongoing threats by employing capabilities to directly meet presidential, Secretary of Defense, and combatant commander objectives around the world. To the new graduates, congratulations on your new challenge. Before recognizing each of our graduates, I would like to introduce today's guest speaker. Colonel Chad Lemaire is the Deputy Director of 836, Pacific Air Force's Joint Base Pearl Harbor Hickam. His many years of experience and leadership also include former commander of the 92nd Information Operations Squadron and Vice Wing Commander of the 688 Cyber Wing. Colonel Lemaire, the floor is yours. Woo! Yeah! Slow down.
You're not around me enough.
So I want to first by saying thank you to the family for showing up, because we have some awesome airmen before us today, but they wouldn't be here without you. And so from the bottom of my heart, I say thank you for coming. And I'll also say that just as we know that they're coming from a family, rest assured that we will welcome them into our cyber family. And it is my pledge on behalf of the Air Force to let you know that we will absolutely take care of them. So for those here graduating, today I say congratulations. I'll start this off by saying a couple things. You all have a name tag right here. Remember it. Your name means something. You have roots. Don't ever forget them, and don't ever forget that your signature with that name on it will mean something. Secondly, I know I address you, you're all lieutenants, but I said airmen, and I said it for a reason, because I want you to understand that you are airmen first. Then you are an officer in the Air Force. And lastly, you're going to be a cyberspace officer within the United States Air Force. But always remember, you're an airman. My advice to you. So I'll share a couple stories. Hopefully I won't bore you during my time here. There may be some of you in this select group that may not like where you're going. I don't know. I haven't been told. But I'll share with you, my very first assignment in the Air Force was in a job I didn't want to have, in a place I didn't want to be, quite frankly. And I realized, though, that if I showed up, if I wanted to do something else, then the best way to get the job that you want is to do a great job in the one that you have, right? Yeah. And so my advice to you is, one, immerse yourself in technical knowledge. We are in a technical career field. Right, outside of your leadership experience and your responsibilities, we expect you to be technically and tactically proficient. So immerse yourself. Secondly, be a sponge. Right, soak in everything you can. And I'd like to highlight two groups of people that I recommend you do that for. One, find yourself a mentor. Find yourself another officer who's been in longer than you that might be able to tell you a little bit of. Might be able to relay a little bit of knowledge and experience and what they've done and how they've overcome to help you. But secondly, and Chief, I will acknowledge you, you rely on your NCOs. You talk to them, you learn from them. You probably will never be smarter than they are, so soak it up from the NCOs. Learn everything you can. Learn leadership from them. And by the way, they're charged to mentor you. So they will do it gladly, right? So rely on them. So, bloom where you planted, right? I talked about that a little bit. I mentioned my first job. I was very, very fortunate. I first got there. As I said, not only was it a job I didn't want, but they had just recently combined a bunch of squadrons, and unfortunately they didn't get rid of certain duties, and so I showed up there and I'm doing half a job in my opinion, right? And I'm a little disgruntled because I'm thinking, I want to do more. I mean, I came in here to do more. And so I sat down with this captain, and the captain said, "Hey, Lieutenant, you're really the first person to have this job. Figure out what you needed to be, and then go do it." And so I did that, and I was fortunate enough, the wing commander took note, offered me an opportunity. I ended up going to AFIT, and if you don't know about AFIT, I recommend AFIT. They will pay you your salary while you go to school, and you'll get an advanced degree. But I went to school, and out of that school, I got the job that I wanted to get, right? And the Air Force decided to make me, at the time we called it communications and information, and I became a communications officer. So, but that was all possible because I bloomed where I was planted. One thing I will say, it is also your duty as a military officer to offer your best military advice to your leadership. But realize there comes a time, right, where loyalty wins out the day. And this is what I mean. So as a young CGO, I was in a squadron, and the squadron commander wanted to do something, and I disagreed with it, right? So in private, I went to the squadron commander, and I let him know that I disagreed with him. Well, he didn't agree with me, right? And so then I had to go and tell all the airmen that this is what we were going to do. And I will tell you, all those airmen thought the same thing that I thought, that I told my boss in private, right? And they relayed that to me. But my answer back to them wasn't, hey, the squadron commander said, right? The answer back was, hey, this is what we're going to do. right? Because what you don't want to do is create that, right, friction between the airman and the squadron commander. So you're there to help out in those situations. I really hope you had a great time here, right? In talking with your squadron commander, I think we've done some wonderful things with the course. I'm seeing a bunch of head nods. You can say no in public if you, no, you guys aren't willing to yet, right? But seriously, I'm very proud of you, right? So I'll just sum it up, right? Remember your roots. Know who you are. Make your signature mean something, right? Bloom where you planted. Listen to your mentors, whether that's a senior officer or the NCOs, right? And then above all, have your integrity. So I'm excited to be here. I really am. I hope the family members. I want you to know this is a very important milestone, because if you recall, at the very beginning I talked about the name, right? I talked about being an airman. Well, they've already been commissioned. They're already an airman, right? I talked about being an officer, again, commissioned. They're already officers. But what they become today, right, officially, and they get rewarded for it, is they become cyberspace warfare officers in the United States Air Force. And so that is a big deal. I congratulate you and I thank you, and hopefully I didn't A, bore you, or B, go over my time. So, but good luck in your graduation.
Thank you, Colonel Mayor. Now I'd like to provide an explanation to the meaning of the cyberspace operator badge, which we have up here in front. The lightning bolt signifies the cyberspace domain, while the globe signifies the projection of cyber power worldwide. Together, the globe and lightning bolt wings represent our common communications heritage. The bolt wings centered on the globe are taken from the Air Force seal and signify our striking power through air, space, and cyberspace. Finally, the orbits circling the globe signify the space-related elements of the cyberspace mission. Undergraduate Cyber Warfare Training Class 21007. Prepare for the presentation of your cyber badges and certificates of graduation. As each student's name is called, will the student and person presenting his or her wings please come forward. We invite family and friends to come forward for pictures with their graduate after they receive their certificate. Our first graduate is Second Lieutenant Neil Inman. Presenting his wings is his father, Brett. Lieutenant Inman has been assigned to the 13th Air Support Operations Squadron, Fort Carson, Colorado. Get too much smile. Second Lieutenant Marcos Ituri-Betia. Presenting his wings is his mother, Jocelyn. Lieutenant Ituri-Betia has been assigned to the 423rd Communications Squadron, RAF Molesworth, United Kingdom. Second Lieutenant Aaron Ramirez. Presenting his wings is his father, Hugo. Lieutenant Ramirez has been assigned to the 747th Communications Squadron, Joint Base Pearl Harbor, Hickam, Hawaii.
Oh.
Second Lieutenant Brian Rogo, presenting his wings is his wife, Catherine. Lieutenant Rogo has been assigned to the 70th Operations Support Squadron, Fort Meade, Maryland.
That's what Photoshop
It's okay.
is for. Yeah.
I think I got something in
Yeah,
there.
this is gonna be good. A lot of people don't know this, but Sarah used to have her own photography business before she came to the Air Force.
That's awesome.
You can fix anything. She even put hair on my head.
I want to
Second Lieutenant Lauren Shotwell, presenting her wings are her parents, Tony and Allison. Lieutenant Shotwell has been assigned to the 4th Communications Squadron, Seymour Johnson Air Force Base, North Carolina. Second Lieutenant Nikolai Valov, presenting his wings is his mother, Camelia. Lieutenant Valov has been assigned to the 552nd Air Control Network Squadron, Pink Air Force Base, Oklahoma. Congratulations, class 21007.
So were you starting to wave? It looked like
And now for the presentation of the awards. The first is an award that recognizes the outstanding contributor, decided by anonymous vote for all the class members. This award is sponsored by the Armed Forces Communications and Electronics Association, or ICEA. The outstanding contributor for UCWT Class 21007 is Lieutenant Ramirez. Next, we have the Distinguished Graduate Award. Based on multiple criteria, this award recognizes only the top 10% of the students in the graduating class. Requirements for a distinguished graduate include having a minimum academic grade point average of 95% and demonstrating attributes of the whole airman concept. including high standards of attitude, caring, behavior, conduct, teamwork, and leadership, as well as no written or performance measurement failures. The distinguished graduate for UCWT class 21007 is Lieutenant Ramirez. Next, we have the Major General Robert E. Sadler Award. This award is presented on behalf of the Air Force Command, Control, Communications, and Computers Association and recognizes the UCWT graduate with the highest cumulative grade point average. A tradition began with UCWT's first graduating class on December 7th, 2010. In addition to the Sadler Award, Brigadier General Ian Dickinson, the former 81st Training Wing Commander, presented his wings to the honoree. In turn, the student receiving the General's wings offered his first badge back to the schoolhouse to pass down to the next Sadler Award winner. Today, the graduate receiving the Sadler Award will relinquish his or her newly pinned wings to the schoolhouse to continue this tradition. The Sadler Award recipient will receive a congratulatory certificate signed by the President of the Air Force Command, Control, Communications, and Computers Association, Lieutenant General Retired Charlie Croon. The Sadler Award recipient for UCWT graduating class 21007 is Lieutenant Ramirez.
I see a proud papa back there. Sure am. Yeah, we save this for the next Saturday one. And that's too bad, because you pinned it on perfectly. From the former. Maybe one of these, yeah. You've done like the hat trick on awards. You're gonna have 4 pictures that look like this. Yeah.
Lastly, we have the coveted Top Instructor Award, better known as the Furious Fowl Award. This award recognizes the instructor who, more than any other instructor, transformed and inspired the student flight the most during training. The award is decided by anonymous vote of all flight winners and cannot be awarded to the class mentioned. Requirements for this Furious Fowl Award include, first and foremost, superior instructorship. The recipient must also demonstrate the MADLIC standards of boldness, discipline, and a focus on quality over quantity. When the name of the award recipient is called out, the class will recognize the instructor with a standing ovation. The Furious Fowl Award recipient for UCWT graduating class 21007 is Captain Travis Wooden.
Don't go anywhere. I want to give you another little something. So, and also, everybody can take a seat. When Grandpa Sparks starts to talk, you're going to want to sit down. Right, so what we do, and this is a little bit of an explanation, we've started to recognize some of our incredible instructors. And when each one of you came through, when you first started, you came in without those wings. You came in, many of you, without any prior cyber knowledge. But it's thanks to the instructors who invested in you, to transform and inspire you. And it's very interesting. I've been to a lot of different public events and things like that where they get a flyover, right? today we had that drive-by with those. But those are the airmen. Those are the airmen. It's interesting. I loved hearing that go by. There's hardly anything more military than facing movements and calling out marches. As far back as possible before that. But those are the same airmen that you heard out there. Those are the ones that you're going to go out and lead. And they're out there. And they're at each one of your bases for your. They're out in that Fort Carson. For you, they're out in the UK. Right. So those airmen are out there, and you're going to go lead them. But by the way, you are those airmen, and this airman led you. And so what we like to do is we like to recognize that with the top instructor. But what we do is I pin on. I pin something on their nameplate, their instructor nameplate. So each instructor puts one of these up in the class where they are teaching. So I want to give a real quick explanation of why we do this. So way back, many of you may remember, if you've ever seen pictures of like in the Korean War time and the Vietnam War time, anytime that we had one of the Air Force fighters shoot down a MiG, they would paint a star, a red star. And, sir, I know you remember when you're the red star of the aggressor because you led that squadron. But the red star, every time they shot down a foreign fighter. And so what we do is right now, your son or your daughter, they're going out to compete against our current competitors, which are Russia and China, same ones that we were fighting back then. The difference now is that we're not in an air battle. Thank God we're not in armed conflict. But they are fighting right now below the level of armed conflict. We see it in the way in which they try and undermine our democracy every election. But we are engaged below the level of armed conflict, still against the Russians and the Chinese. And so, while we're not shooting them down, every time we graduate class, and here's 6 more, we certainly are competing against them. And every time you as an instructor sends more graduates out into the field, you are better prepared and how should we compete. So, I look forward to seeing this pinned up every time you're instructing. And this star, by the way, not just any star. This is the actual star of the People's Liberation Army Air Force. So, we won't say how we got them, but our squadron is full of a bunch of hackers. All right? There you go. Let's get a picture. All right. Well done.
Congratulations to the award winners, and let's give one more warm round of applause for class 21007.
So one of the things I wanted to talk about, but wait till after we recognize all these awesome lieutenants and now cyberspace officers. Within the military, there is a deep and rich unit history. And so there's these things called roll calls where a wing commander will get all their units together, and usually the squadron commander will yell out something. You've probably seen it in the movies, right? For those by the way, how many of you have been in the military, the family members? Okay. So the squadron commander will yell something out, and the folks in the squadron will have a reply to it. And so one of the things you've heard as he introduced me is, I was in the 92nd Information Operations Squadron. And Captain Wooden, can you tell me what squadron you used to be in?
92nd.
92nd. And so I will tell you, as a former commander, that makes me extremely proud. And so without any pre-plan, this could go bad. This could go bad. But I have one last thing to say before we all break. And by the way, family members, I'm staying around if you guys want to chat with me. If you want to talk to me, please do. But I got one last thing to say. 5 Charlie!
Schools!
So they're former members.
Yeah. They're taking over. Hurry up and get this thing over with.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's graduation ceremony. The class of 21007 would like to extend their thanks to those in virtual attendance today. The graduates will conclude today's ceremony by leading us in singing of the Air Force song. Afterwards, They will form a receiving line, and attendees are encouraged to come forward and congratulate our newest cyber operators. Please stand for the singing of the Air Force song.
Off we go into the wild blue yonder, climbing high into the sun. Here they come, sitting to meet our thunder. Out of now, give him the gun, give him the gun, hey! Down we dive, spouting our flames from under. Off with one hell of a roll. We live in fame, we'll go down in flames. Hey! Nothing will stop the U.S. Air Force.
Ready, break.
Thank you for attending today's ceremony.
Your stack there.
No, it's the first class I've seen that.
We do. I know.
All faculty members
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
That was awesome.